The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. When Jesus saw the vast crowd, his heart was moved with pity for them, for they were like sheep without a shepherd, and he began to teach them many things. By now it was already late, and the disciples approached him. "This is a deserted place, and it is already very late. Dismiss them so that we can go in the surrounding farms, so they can go in the surrounding farms and villages and buy themselves something to eat." He said to them in reply, "Give them some food yourselves." But they said to him, "Are we to buy 200 days' wages worth of food and give it to them to eat?" He asked them, "How many loaves do you have? Go and see." And when they had found out, they said, 5 loaves and 2 fish. So he gave orders to have them sit down in groups on the green grass. The people took their places in rows by hundreds and by 50s. Then, taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish and looking up to heaven, he said the blessing, broke the loaves, and gave them to his disciples to set before the people. He also divided the 2 fish among them all. They all ate and were satisfied. And they picked up the 12 wicker baskets full of fragments and what was left of the fish. Those who ate of the loaves were 5,000 men. The Gospel of the Lord. The readings today remind us of God's immense love for us and the effect that it can have on us. God reminds us that it is He who loved us fully, immeasurably, intensely. John says that God so loved the world, and He loved us first without any hope of promise of faithfulness on our part. He just continues to love us. And we see in the gospel that love in action. Jesus looks at the people and He loves them. He loves them in their need, in their concern. And we're reminded of what effect God's love can have on us if we accept it. I always think of this reading. When I was at another high school, we would do a retreat, overnight retreat for 3 days with the students, Kairos, which we do both at Cristo Rey and at Strake. And for many of our students there, it was the first time they'd ever been away from home. And we would tell them, don't have to bring anything, all the food's provided, we have snacks, we have everything. But sure enough, every time they would show up, once they got there, the backpacks would open, and they'd be filled with all kinds of food, snacks, flaming hot Cheetos, you name it, everything came out. And I think of that when I read this reading because I truly believe Jesus miraculously multiplied the loaves. But I think maybe the power of His love caused another multiplication. Because I'm pretty sure there were probably more than the loaves, the 2 loaves and the five loaves and 2 fish. That a lot of people did what our kids did. They didn't go out without a little something tucked away. They probably had something stuck up their sleeve or in their bag. But before Jesus showed them His love, they were going to keep it for themselves. And I suspect once it became clear that God's love had created this abundance, people didn't need to be selfish. They didn't need to worry about taking care of only themselves. So they probably brought out their own food as well. And so the miraculous miracle of the multiplication, I think, caused a multiplication of human generosity and love. I can't prove that, but I suspect something like that happened, that people felt free knowing the power of God's love in their own life, seeing it in action by Jesus, seeing God miraculously feed them, gave them courage and the ability to be generous with each other. And I think that's the message of the readings today for us. The power of God's love should free us to be able to be loving, to be generous, to be forgiving. Because God's love is there for us, full measure, pressed down, flowing into our laps. And it'll never exhaust itself. And so we can afford to give love away, to give things away.